Welcome to another episode of Into the Remote podcast, the show where we explore the new ways of working and exciting new future of work. Glad to have you with us again. Welcome to another episode of Into the Remote podcast, and today we'll be talking about taxes and remote work, and I think it's a really important topic. Because when we talk about remote work, we rarely think about taxes and legal implications, right? Like we just like to think of cool locations and nice coffee places to work out of, a month on the Canary Islands, right? To reduce the number of winter days in Europe. But taxes are not really on the top of our list. But I dare to say there are only three things certain in life, which is taxes, death, and the fact that the flexible work is here to stay. And I'm really excited to welcome our guest today, Michal Surek, who is a tax manager at PwC and has been working with taxes and clients for over 13 years. Michal, welcome.
Thank you, Jure, for the invitation. And happy to be here.
Thank you so much. And, a bit of the background story, like Michal approached us himself after listening to a couple of episodes. And he said, like, okay, you're right. I think we should be talking about this. And I just love the idea. So thanks a lot for reaching out and.
Yeah, very welcome. Hopefully it will be beneficial.
Absolutely. I'm totally sure of that. And I'm really excited that you accepted the invitation because on top of being a tax professional, you also embrace remote work, Michal. And I know that just recently you came back from your workation. For those of you who might be not familiar with the term, it's a vacation combined with a few extra days of work. So what do you like most about this concept, Michal?
It was very nice to, despite the fact that there is a tax season going on out there, but that I was able to take some kind of a vacation combined with the work. So it was basically 70% of pleasure and 30% of work.
Right. Super cool. Don't you think that your work might interfere with your vacation?
Actually not. It was very, very nice. It was a lot of rain there, but despite this, I was fully focused on the work. So my children were with the parents, with basically my wife and the parents-in-law. So basically, it was more like a vacation.
Nice, sweet. So you are able to combine the best of both worlds. That's wonderful. So Michal, let's build on that. So first of all, what does it mean to work from a different country, from the legal perspective, right? Like, can extending your vacation for extra few days or even few weeks qualify as working from a foreign country?
Yeah, definitely. And basically before COVID, this was maybe not a hot topic. It was maybe not discussed or maybe not seen so often. But after COVID ended or the pandemic ended, this became more natural, and also the companies try to attract the employees with providing more flexibility with work, and not only within one country, but also in different countries.
So let's talk about those different new work arrangements, right? Like you just experienced a workation, and I believe a lot of our listeners had some kind of experience with that, but there's also there are other setups, right? Like a permanent transfer, even commuter, or a digital nomad who works every month practically from a different country. So again, from the legal perspective, what are some of the main differences we should be considering?
So for commuters, the setup is different than for workation, because for commuters, the employee works from home residence, basically, for example, from Austria, and works and commutes to Slovakia to work in Slovakia, in Bratislava. For workation, you are basically going somewhere for a short period of time, maybe some days or weeks or even months, but then you return home, and the home might be in the same country as the employer is located.
Michal, what does a company need to do if any of its employees eventually wants to work remotely or from a different country?
Yeah, that's a brilliant question, because the company needs to know who was going to work from different country and also how many days. It sounds easy, but especially for big companies, this is a huge issue to basically investigate who and from where works.
Mm-hmm. And how do these larger companies actually tackle it? Do they build any systems where they keep track of the people?
Yeah. Sometimes they already have some kind of systems that have the ability to kind of mark what was the country or what was the city. But some of them also kind of need to buy some new one, or to connect with the tax provider.
How many days can companies allow their employees to work from abroad?
Yeah, this really depends on the company, how she or the company evaluates the risks and kind of obstacles with the remote work. So it might be 10 days that, okay, we said 10 days, the employees can work from everywhere and we don't care, but it can be also backed with a huge analysis of all countries involved. And for example, in PwC, there is 6 weeks of possible working from outside. This is a pretty good kind of standard. It means 30 days from within a year to work from different country.
Let's paint an example over here. I would love to hire somebody, let's say in France from Slovakia, right? Like, what are some of the legal options I could use?
Yeah. The first option is, for example, to create a branch in France and to basically run all the reporting in France.
Ooh, that's a lot of work.
A lot of work, a lot of money that you need to invest, but of course it's compliant. Or you can kind of do with the employees some kind of a remote setup, but of course there are limitations that the employee can spend working from home. For example, when we are speaking about social security, there is a new thing that is coming, but for teleworkers, currently there is an exception for working from home from their country till end of June 2023 this year. And then as of July, there is a intended kind of a new setup which can allow up to 50% of time spent working from home from different country, for example, from France.
All right, so let's talk about remote work visa. What countries offer remote work visas to potential candidates, and what does it actually mean for a person who would like to work outside of that particular country?
Yeah, within EU, we usually don't deal with the immigration, and because we are working within EU, within the European Union. But for example, just recently, I think from February, Spain released this nomad visa, digital nomad visa, which is available for the third country nationals. And before that, also Portugal, Italy, Greece kind of supported working from their territory for the third country nationals under the digital nomad visa. Usually there are some kind of conditions that you need to fulfill. For example, within the Spain setup, there is certain salary threshold that you need to have.
Got it. And you mentioned Spain, and I know that a lot of our friends like to shorten that Central European winter and spend a few weeks or even months in the Canary Islands. What is, again, the duration limit, after which I need to, do something about the taxes and the legal implications? Like, can I stay there for, let's say, 3 months without, declaring my stay in the country?
Yeah, there are different views on that. There is a social security view. We discussed that as of 1st of July, if Spain and Slovakia signs the framework agreement and kind of apply these rules, then up to 50% you could work from Spain. But there is a tax point of view. Based on my knowledge, Spain has pretty simple tax rules that they kind of track the working days in your country, and I think they have it linked to 183 days. So it's important to know if you would kind of become the Spanish residents in Spain or not, and this has influence on the taxation, for example, of your income there.
Get it. So if I work from Spain less than 183 days, then I'm paying taxes still in my home country.
You would probably be considered as a non-resident, And then also not paying taxes there if this is not Spanish source, because they would tax just the Spanish source income there. And then you need to look on the double tax treaty between Slovakia and Spain. I think it's within Article 14 or 15. And if it is the standard one, then if you don't spend there more than 183 days, this might be kind of possible. But now I'm not speaking about the permanent establishment risks that are there for the company, but purely me as an employee, the social security, the taxes, and if you are a European Union kind of a citizen, then the immigration is not a big problem.
So when we're talking about tracking working from a different country, I see it as a longer contract, more or less. But what about workation? Like, what is the general practice out there? How do companies tackle this? Is it, just you get a manager's approval? Let's say I'm going to spend a week in Rome and another week I'm going to work from the city? Or should we actually keep track of that as well?
Yeah, this depends on the company, how kind of prudent or kind of focus is on the counting of the days and on the compliance. The workation somewhere between 7 or 10 days, which is kind of a one time per year for the employee in one country, should not kind of bring some kind of a social security, for example, risk for the employee or for the company. But of course, if the employee is kind of traveling every month like that to different countries, this is something that the company should be aware of and tracking, definitely.
Got it. So again, here comes the company culture, their risk aversion attitude, and also like the think of a trust, right? Like it all depends on how you communicate this with your manager and what the setup is in the team and in the company.
Yeah, definitely. My advice would be definitely tell it to the employer. Tell where you are gonna work, because without that, the trust issue might be there.
Michal, what would be your final piece of advice for an employee who wants to work from abroad?
Yeah, the first advice would be definitely to discuss beforehand with the employer. Don't deal with that after the vacation happened. Deal with that before. Discuss where you want to go, how long you want to stay there, and find there a solution, because there are always solutions how to do that. If the employer is not kind of sure if this is compliant, then he needs to outsource this kind of question. But definitely discuss this before.
And Michal, the last question, which we ask all of our guests. What 3 books did you read recently that inspired you into a new way of thinking?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would not definitely say Income Tax Act 2023, I'm more a podcast guy. I really like the Michal Surek podcast. This is something that I'm listening every time. But from books, Never Split the Difference by Chris Voss. This is really one. Surrounded by Idiots. Mm-hmm. Again, great book, which kind of gives you different angle how you look on your friends or even colleagues, and also the how do we decide. Mm-hmm. This is really a good one. And my future that I really want to read is Future of Human Behavior. You probably didn't hear about this one. It's by Timothy de Jong. He's really good behavior expert, and I have heard a presentation. He's perfect presenter and speaker, and I heard a presentation during COVID about what happens after COVID, and it almost precisely happened as he said. So I'm like, okay, I need to read his book.
Awesome. Michal, thank you so much for being with us, and thank you so much for all the advice that you shared on the taxation and legal side of remote work. Thank you again.
Thank you for the invitation. It was a pleasure.